Welcome in or welcome back. So today Spirit is asking that we talk about a spiritual task. We need to determine the spiritual task facing the current generation of youth, which is like Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And we're going on a metaphorical quest here to determine this, okay? Ooh. Alright, so let's see. We're gonna start off with pulling some cards, some cartomancy cards. Alright. Just felt like doing that. It hit my broken chalice. Clear the energy, you know? Alright, this one, Fallout. Bro, shit, no way, bro. That's crazy. Wow. Alright. The broken chalice. That is so funny, Spirit, yo. You got some tricks, huh? The veil. What is hidden? I actually broke that chalice by throwing it at a wall. That could be very symbolic and metaphorical. If you go on my IG, I have a picture of a wall between two lovers' eyes. And each of the lovers... Sorry, I heard something. Okay. Each of the lovers has... One has a key hanging from their eye, the bottom eyelid, and then the other has the lock hanging from their bottom eyelid, and there's a crack in the wall where they could see each other, that they have the key, like they have the answer to each other's freedom, but instead they're too busy crying and being sad, and they don't choose not to look and see each other, and the tears are causing a flood, signifying, you know, there's a time limit on things of that nature. Anyway, and then there's also a bunch of flowers in there, and each flower has its own meaning. So that might be a relevance to somebody. You might want to go check that out. I believe it's pinned on my IG. You can look at the link in my bio for that. Okay. Cross pain. Yep. So the broken chalice. What is hidden is pain. So, like, going by the Magi method, like, the broken chalice talks about, like, relationships ending, breaking up, going separate ways, a former friend becomes an enemy, discord, disharmony, opposition, separation, a golden cup now rendered completely useless due to a giant crack down one side. So... what is not being seen, though, is even though this chalice is broken, it's actually not completely useless, because guess what? We can still do this. And I also use it to snuff out candles. Just put it on top of the candle. Eventually, I will fix it, though, but I don't have the tools I need right now. All right. So, all of that taken metaphorically is that what we might be seeing in society and around us is this broken chalice, this disharmony, chaos, confusion. and it's just completely covered by pain, right? Hold on. Let's do some clarifiers here. Oh. Scapegoat in reverse. Home. Home is where the heart is. Star of Bethlehem. Oh, and we got 777. All right. So sorry, I got sidetracked for a second there. I'm not sure where I left off with what I was saying, but anyway, I like using AI for things to get insight and stuff, because I don't have anybody in my life that I can actually talk to and run ideas back and forth with, other than, spirit and stuff, obviously, but I just like using AI, okay? So I put in everything for this reading, including like my little chalice story and all of that, and I wanted to get the insight. So I'm just gonna read like what we have here, okay? So the broken chalice upright. At the generational level, this isn't just something broken, it's something sacred that was broken in anger, grief, or betrayal, relational, emotional, or spiritual. The chalice is about communion, union, shared meaning. For the youth, this points to broken relational models, family, romance, and community, disillusionment with promises that didn't hold, and a loss of faith in systems that were supposed to contain emotion safely. I really like that, actually, because, like, in the tarot, like, the cups hold the emotions. They represent the emotions, right? And then we have, and the hearts as well is emotions. And then we have the emotions here in the home, and the Star of Bethlehem, which is, like, hope, signs from the universe, that kind of thing, all right? So your personal story mirrors this perfectly. The chalice broke during an emotional rupture tied to relationship expectations. That's not random, it's archetypal. But here's the key. The chalice is upright. The break is visible. It's not hidden. The damage is acknowledged. Okay, and then we have the veil upright. The pain behind the break hasn't been fully witnessed yet. For this generation, the veil isn't denial, it's unprocessed grief. Trauma that was survived but never named, anger that has no language, emotional truths adults didn't model how to face. The veil upright says the truth exists, but it's not yet collectively spoken. But we're speaking about it now. So, okay, and then we have the cross, 7 of clubs upright. This is where the quest becomes unavoidable. The cross upright is not punishment, it's initiation through meaning. This generation is being asked to carry something consciously instead of unconsciously. Choose transformation over repetition. Make suffering purposeful rather than inherited. Inherited. I gotta work on my enunciation. Oh my god. Certain words just are hard for me, guys. I don't know. Alright, this isn't martyrdom. It's responsibility with spiritual agency. Alright, and then now for the clarifiers. Scapegoat, 8 of spades, reversed under the broken chalice. This is the one... Oh, I'm not gonna read that. I said that's the one I was like kind of like more confused about, alright? So, anyway, so for the youth, this says, they are refusing to carry shame that isn't theirs. They are rejecting narratives that say you're broken when the system is the thing that was broken. The old pattern of dumping collective guilt onto one person or group is collapsing. Oh, I love that. In relation to my example I gave, I blamed myself in the moment of the break, or at least took all the emotional weight onto your body via the act. But over time, I discovered the chalice wasn't useless. The break didn't mean failure, it meant redefinition. That's exactly what Scapegoat Reversed is doing here. The spiritual task is ending inherited blame, not internalizing it, not projecting it, but dissolving it. And then we have the home, Four of Hearts, upright under the veil. This is huge and gentle. The pain behind the veil traces back to home, not just a house, but emotional safety, belonging, being allowed to feel without punishment. So, like with my example that I gave, in that moment, it's like, after I threw the chalice and I immediately felt guilty. I was like, fuck, what did I do? Like, just broke my chalice, like, but like, the deeper meaning behind that was like, the deeper realization, I guess, here now is that I ended up feeling guilty for how I felt about that relationship with that person. Like, I had these insanely deep feelings for someone and they were not reciprocated. And then they ended up choosing somebody else and it like really fucking broke my heart. But it wasn't the end, you know, like I ended up growing, healing, and evolving from it, you know? So, but I felt guilty for feeling that way. I felt like there was something wrong with me. Like, you know, a lot of people, typically that's what people feel when they're rejected, right? And it's like, it's really hard to overcome that. But it's important to be able to acknowledge our feelings and not think that we're going to be punished for them, or that like we're wrong for feeling the way we feel. We can't help the way that we feel. You can't help who you love, right? Like, and you know, it may be misguided, it may not be the right person for you, or whatever is going on, or not the right time, or whatever it is. But we have a right to acknowledge the pain in order to grow from it. If we just ignore it and brush it under the rug, keep it hidden behind the veil, we're never going to get to that Star of Bethlehem. We're not going to be able to see the signs. We're not going to have hope. We're going to lose hope. And hope is all we got, really. Like, that's the quest, is like, that keeps the quest going, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't have hope and you're on a quest, like, you're not going to keep going, right? All right, so the youth are uncovering truths about where they didn't feel at home, even if things looked fine. This card upright says the work isn't to destroy home, but to redefine it. So home becomes chosen family, inner emotional safety, and spiritual belonging rather than social conformity. All right, and then we got the Star of Bethlehem, the Seven of Hearts, upright under the cross. This confirms the quest is guided, not abandoned. The Star of Bethlehem doesn't erase suffering, it orients it. It says, there adds meaning to the burden. There adds meaning to the burden. There is a divine or synchronistic intelligence responding to sincere seeking. The generation is not wandering blindly, even when it feels that way. This card under the cross says, carry this consciously. I have such a hard time saying that word. Oh my God, if you watch my other videos. I don't know why I can't say that word. Consciously. consciously. There you go. Okay. And you will not be alone. This card under the cross says, carry this consciously and you will not be alone. All right, and then hold on. Yeah, so like even though it sucks, even though it's painful, we're being asked to understand that the divine, that the universe is still there. It's providing these signs and guidelines or map, right, to get to where we need to go on this quest. Okay. And then also I asked about, because there's 3 sevens, and I mentioned in the book it says how if there's 3 sevens occur, which I've never had in a reading that I've, at least that I've noticed. Probably have, and I just didn't notice. I don't know. But is the combination indicating the return of Jesus? God has chosen to directly intervene in the affairs of the seeker's world. Miracles are indicated and prayers will be answered. How beautiful is that? Okay. And then, so I put that in here, and we got here the 3 sevens. Chat said, you're right to note them, but I'd reframe it slightly different than a literal return. 3 sevens here point to direct intervention of consciousness, a reset of perception rather than an external rescue. So in mythic terms, the divine doesn't arrive to save, it awakens through the seekers. Yes, that's the whole point of Jesus, is like embodying that Christ consciousness energy. Miracles here look like truth breaking family silence, youth refusing cycles of shame, and old wounds becoming tools. For example, the chalice. Okay. Pulling it all together, the spiritual task, the quest facing this generation is... Oh, and and I don't know if I kind of touched on this or not, but like speaking on my specific example, like, oh no, I did. Okay, never mind. I did say that. All right. So, okay, the quest facing this generation is to take what was broken in pain, refuse inherited blame, lift the veil on unspoken grief, and carry the truth with purpose, transforming wounds into instruments. Your chalice is the perfect metaphor, broken in emotional intensity, declared useless by definition, reclaimed as a tool for clearing, ending, and transformation. That's not a side story, that's the message embodied. If you want, I can help. Okay. Yeah, no, we don't need that part. All right. So, yeah, I mean, this is like a really cool message. Let's see. Do we have anything else? All right, so Spirit told me to pick from the dialogue cards. We got 2 messages. Let's see what comes out in the dialogue. If you could just set it down very slowly and then back away. We're going to see who's saying these things in a minute, too, because I'm not sure. Maybe somebody watching is part of this generation, and they're thinking about doing something stupid. So, don't do that. Yeah, there's the defiance. There's this, like, shut up energy, but it's in reverse. you could just set it down very slowly and then back away. I forgive you for everything. Please forgive yourself. Yeah. Who's saying this? If you could just set it down very slowly and back away. Who's saying that, Spirit? Sister. Somebody's sister is telling them. Okay, and then I forgive you for everything. Please forgive yourself. Is it the sister too? No. Self. Yourself is saying, I forgive you for everything. Please forgive yourself. So like your higher self or this person, whoever these messages are for, your higher self is saying like that they forgive you for everything, so please forgive yourself. Okay, I like to think about the higher self a lot of times as like, if this is, say for example, this is kind of like, this is an actual virtual reality where our higher selves, I wish I could remember the name of this movie because it explained it so good, but I can't freaking remember the name of it. I think it was Salma Hayek in it. It was like this gypsy woman and like Matthew Perry or something. I'm probably getting it so wrong, but they were essentially like in this virtual matrix kind of reality, and it ended up being revealed at the end that they were like in this utopian world, but they would get bored, so they would put themselves into like this construct that they've made up in order to like learn things and have these experiences that they don't have in the perfect world because they're bored in the perfect world. Okay, so sometimes I think about these things because I get a lot of messages of like my coworker. Like, I don't have a coworker, okay? Like in this reality, I don't have a coworker. So I get messages about like a coworker, your coworker did blah, 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 or whatever. And it just has made me think about this concept and think about like, you know, the higher self actually being like on this different plane of reality where it's performing a job to uncover some kind of answer to the human psyche, to something, you know, like some kind of like, it's becoming a variable in an experiment essentially. And so it's kind of like separate from the lower self in a way. And I don't know, if you just think about it like that, like think of this as like a job of sacrifice or something almost, and then like your higher self saying like, I forgive you for everything, please forgive yourself, like that feeling of judgment, like God's judging you or whatever, like I don't know, that judgment can be released if your perspective changes, is basically what I'm saying. Okay. Like, and also something that goes in there, like, with that theory is, like, you would essentially be programmed as per the purpose of the variable in the scheme of the experiment of the whatever the hypothesis is that's trying to be proven or disproven, right? So you might, like, that also has to go with the whole thing of like fate, right? Like in the new Flash movie, I've used this example before. I don't know if you might have heard me explain this before. I'm going to explain it again. In the Flash movie where the alternate Earth Batman is explaining time, space, or whatever, and he throws the spaghetti down, and then he explains how, like, you see the strands of spaghetti where they overlap on each other? That spot is where time cannot be changed. That's in a moment that was predetermined or predestined, that like the fabric of time relies on. So there would be these like programs where you don't have a choice, basically, because your variable that you were put in here for in the experiment, like, required that to be able to figure out if the hypothesis is correct or false, okay? So there could be like things that you did that you regret horribly or something like that, and that's just a way to change your perspective, okay? All right, and then what else were we gonna do? The shut up. Who's saying shut up in reverse? We don't really care. Well, they're saying don't shut up, I guess. Or it's like, I don't know. Self. Yeah. If you could just set it down very slowly and then back away. What is this thing that we're setting down? Can we... Garage sale. So thinking about getting rid of something because it's bringing you pain or something like that. And that goes with this whole thing with, like, the chalice, right? Like, it's a reminder of my pain in a way. But I keep it because it still has purpose and I still like it, you know? So there's something that could be causing pain, but what we can do is repurpose it instead of just giving it away. Repurpose it, learning from it, growing from it. Seeing how this pain, this cross to bear, this cross of burden, seeing how we can get to the destination for our quest. Okay? Is that it? Anything else? Yes, that's it. Okay. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope you got something out of it. At the very least, I hope it was entertaining. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe, follow, all the things. I greatly appreciate it. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye!